Thanks everybody for coming out. Thank you. Good luck to Ignatius the rest of the year. Fans are remembered to please exit out the back door to the parking lot. Exit out the back door to the parking lot. You boys will meet you out there. Thank you for coming out.
Tommy said Tommy said he's going to need the.
If I mute these. Hello again and welcome inside DePaul College Prep. Number 6 DePaul taking on St. Ignatius tonight. You are tuned in to No Fans in the Stands TV. We were good enough the first time around to get invited back. We've got another good Illinois high school Chicago matchup for you tonight. Not quite the rivalry of the same caliber of Notre Dame and St. Pat's, but these are two very good teams taking the floor tonight. Some of the best talent in the city of Chicago playing in a rematch game after a split season series last year. The second of those two matchups coming in the sectional semifinals as St. Ignatius edged DePaul by a couple of points in that game.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a rivalry now because of what happened last year. That sectional semifinal game ended in pretty dramatic fashion. I believe it was Dan Flory, a senior last year, hit a three with a few seconds left to really stun a DePaul prep team that had beaten them by 30 points just a week or two earlier. So, there's a lot of kids from that team that are on the floor tonight that have that still pretty fresh in their memory in 1 year ago about right now.
I guarantee Tom Kleinschmidt still remembers that game, and I guarantee he reminded him through his little COVID layoff that they were coming back and getting a chance to get back at Ignatius, because the year prior, Tommy had taken them downstate, and they came in third place, and they were well on their way again. If they could have got by Ignatius, then they would have had to get by Fenwick. But
Rick, you know Tommy well. I know Tom Kleinschmidt well. He is as competitive of a guy and a coach as you'll find. And if you don't think that game last year, it's stuck with him. I'm sure he had plenty of opportunity to rev this game up for his kids tonight because of that result a year ago.
Well, and Joe, being the premier high school guru on rating talent, getting kids looks at college, let's go through some of the kids that DePaul brings back, because some of these names, I've been gone for Fenwick from the last 3 years, but I coached against some of these guys. Some of these guys are four-year players. T.Y. Johnson, he played as a freshman, and now I know Porter offered him, and he's going to Loyola. Just a kid that's kind of blown up.
Yeah, T.Y. Johnson is a dynamic scorer. He's got great size, a combo guard. He came down to Loyola and Colorado State and decided to stay home and play for Porter Mosier. He has that unique ability. He's really grown in his game in terms of trying to make people better because he's always been a terrific scorer. He can score at different levels. He's a dynamite. He's a sneaky athlete, too, but he's a dynamite shooter. He's just a tough matchup in the high school level because of all he can do, his versatility in the backcourt.
When did you see that he was, a high-level college prospect? Did you notice that when he was a freshman? Because he was small.
Yeah.
I looked at him today. He's 6'2", 6'3".
Yeah, we always talk about big men blooming later.
Yeah.
He was a little bit later in the process. But yeah, the summer before his sophomore year, it really caught my eye. But he was a bona fide Division I player heading into last year, and he grew, like you just said. So I just love his versatility as a scorer. Sometimes you got a shooter, sometimes you got a driver, sometimes a super athlete. He's just kind of a blend of it all, and that's why he's a pretty special player. And I think he's one of the top half dozen prospects in the entire state of Illinois.
Where do you have him ranked? Where do you have him
I think
ranked?
number 6 right now. So he is an unbelievable recruit for Porter Moser in the Missouri Valley Conference. Because there were some high majors that I think he could have found his way and played at that level.
Well, I love Catholicly kids from Chicago staying in Chicago and playing for Porter, because if you play for Tommy, like you said, how competitive he is, you know he's going to be ready for Porter, because Porter's hard-nosed as well, Catholic League guy himself. Let's take a look at these other guys, because there's, we got Bello going to Parkside, we got Sawyer going to St. Mary's, we got Cam Lewis going to Connecticut, we got Matthews going to UMass. I mean, he's got 5 guys going playing college basketball, and the kids that aren't are underclassmen.
Yeah, Rasheed Bello is a dynamite defender. I mean, he gets in the passing lanes, he's a disruptor, underrated going to Division II Wisconsin Parkside. And obviously Brian Matthews is a defensive presence with that size heading to UMass. But keep an eye on Dylan Arnett. He's a 6'9 junior. I really kind of fell in love with him this summer and fall. He made such huge strides, such progress. He's a bona fide top 10, top 12 prospect in the junior class.
Yeah, and when me and Nick had a phone call with these coaches, we were talking to Tommy about, the individual players, and he said Arnett came in as a swimmer and a baseball player. Pretty spectacular that he's now a Division I basketball player on the horizon. Okay, they got a couple things going on here before the game. I know they're going to do a moment of silence for a couple people that are special to Gordon Tech. So we're going to have to listen to, I think they're going to have an opening prayer.
Good evening and welcome to DePaul College Prep. On behalf of the administration, faculty, and students of DePaul Prep, we hope that you will enjoy tonight's game. This year marks the 109th year of athletic competition for the Chicago Catholic League. Throughout its existence, the Chicago Catholic League has built a reputation as one of the finest conferences in the country due to the outstanding athletic accomplishments, commitment to academic excellence, development of Christian values, and display of great sportsmanship from its member schools. Thank you for your support of the Chicago Catholic League and its mission of living gospel values through excellence in athletic competition. DePaul Prep and St. Ignatius are members of the IHSA. Both teams have agreed to abide by the Constitution and bylaws of the IHSA and the Chicago Catholic League to ensure the highest possible standards of sportsmanship. The officials of this contest have been assigned through the approval of both schools. We ask everyone to display good sportsmanship, no matter what personal feelings of loyalty you may have for one school or the other. Obscene cheers, the throwing of objects, and verbal indignities directed towards athletes, coaches, or officials have no place in high school athletics and will not be tolerated. Anyone not displaying an attitude of good sportsmanship may be removed from the game. Your cooperation is most appreciated. Thank you. The year of COVID has been hard on many. Our lives have been turned upside down by this virus. We have all learned how valuable it is to cherish every moment of our precious lives. While COVID has impacted so many people, the Gordon Tech and DePaul Prep community have been recently devastated by the loss of 2 very good friends to our community with non-COVID related deaths. Bobby Hohenadel, Gordon Tech class of 1978, passed away on February 9th. Bobby was a loved member of the DePaul Prep and Gordon Tech community, a fierce supporter of our students and alums, a constant presence at athletic events, the biggest fan of the Rams basketball program, especially Coach Kleinschmidt, Coach Griswold, and Coach Maniscalco, a good man to all who met him. Scott Bovino, Gordon Tech head coach from 1997 to 2004, passed away on February 14th due to a massive heart attack. Coach Bovino won 4 regional titles in his tenure, and his 2000 team went 25-7 to qualify for the IHSA AA state finals. Coach Bovino went on to coach at Libertyville High School and Northridge Prep, and everywhere he went, people talked about his love of the game, but more importantly, his love of those he coached. As we remember Bobby and Coach Bovino, we ask God to watch over their families, and we ask that perpetual light shine upon these men, and that they may rest in peace. Please stand and join us now as we bow our heads in a moment of silence. Thank you. Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God in heaven, to you we give all praise and thanksgiving. You have blessed us with your bountiful gifts. Help us to use them for your honor. Send forth your grace and abundance upon all gathered for this game. Allow all of our gifts and talents to shine forth in a Christian way. Especially bless these teams, coaches, and referees. Protect them all from injury and harm. Allow your peace to always reign in our hearts. We ask this through your Son, Jesus Christ, our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. St. Ignatius, St. Vincent de Paul, we ask that you remain standing and face the flag for the playing of our national anthem.
Okay, well, we're going to come back to the starting lineups, but maybe you can make a comment on each guy, Joe, or where they're going to school.
Yeah, Parker Higginbottom's a rock solid point guard. I mean, he kind of makes his team go. Good looking junior here, AJ Red, versatile wing.
John Dignan.
Good shooter here, and John Dignan.
Number 23, Richard Barron.
One of the best sophomores in the state.
Big body, can shoot it. And a good-looking junior there, Colby Gill.
Gill and Barron look like twins.
Junior, number 30, Dylan Arnett.
Arnett's that junior you talked about.
Cam Lewis.
Cam Lewis is a guy that I think's played all 4 years. He's a senior going to Connecticut. People are going to be familiar with that name, Jabari Sawyer. That's Amari's son. Bello, the tough, hard-nosed guard that is going to for sure guard Higginbottom, and T.Y. Johnson, the stud on the team.
Yeah, DePaul, I mean, this is a loaded team. This is one of the top teams in Illinois. I know they've had some difficulties lately, with practice time and some guys in and out. So it'll be interesting to see how that shapes up here in the early going of this matchup. But without question, this is one of the best teams in Illinois.
So before we get started talking about the game, just being a friend of Kleinschmidt and talking to Tom, he's just been devastated by the loss of these two guys that we just had a moment of silence for. And I know Bobby was a grade school coach at Queen of All Saints and a tremendous supporter. And then Scott Bogomil, one of the classiest guys, coaches, just a fantastic guy. I know he was working with Will Ray recently at Northridge, and just a big loss for DePaul.
Yeah, Scott Bogomil, an advocate for the game, the kids he coached, and it was a tragic thing that happened last week.
Yeah. Okay, Nick, get us rolling, baby. Let's go.
So here we go. Nick Magas, Rick Malnati, Joe Henricksen here for No Fans in the Stands TV. No tip-off here as usual. With these new COVID rules, it seems ridiculous, doesn't it? We touched on that last game. These guys are playing a full basketball game, head-to-head, face-to-face, and we're starting the game with an inbound play. But that's the way we do it. The away team with the basketball first, and Ignatius trying to set up an inbound play right here.
And all DePaul's going to fight through every screen or switch every screen. They're going to be hard-nosed. They're going to communicate. They're going to be hard to get to the rim.
The point guard, Higginbottom, with the basketball, hands it off for Red. Pass inside. It's Barron, nowhere to go. Good cut from Gil trying to go down the lane. Gets his shot blocked. Gets out of bounds.
You got Gil as a college prospect, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, he's right there in that, he's a Division II, low Division I bubble guy right now. He's got to continue to improve those perimeter skills. A little bit of a tweener right now, but he's got some time between now and a year from now where he can kind of establish himself with a true position at the next level.
No doubt about it. Big body who can do a little bit of everything, coming off a 19-point performance against Rice and a 17-point performance against Rita.
Well, Ignatius didn't score, but they took a minute off the clock, and I think Ignatius is going to want to handle the ball. I know we talked about the shot clock last week, but that was a minute possession. It was knocked out of bounds once.
Pulling up from the elbow is Rashid Bello. Shot's no good. Ball out of bounds. It'll stay with the Rams.
They score a little bit more than the Rich Kehoe days.
Kehoe, though, one of
Great,
the classic. You don't want to play him in a state tournament, or you don't want to play him when he's got 4 or 5 days to prepare. And we should talk about that a little bit, just about preparation of what goes in to playing a game. And I know Ignatius has been playing a ton of games, and this is only DePaul's second game.
Arnett right there drawing a double team, dumps it off for his teammate, gets the first bucket of the game for DePaul Prep. It's a 2-0 lead. 6 minutes to play here in the first quarter.
Well, you got to like that, Joe. A big guy that can handle the ball and find a guy, a passer. Big guys being able to pass the ball.
Rick, I'm telling you, Dylan Arnett is one of the best kept secrets in Illinois. A lot of people aren't talking about him. He's not rated high by people. Well, I have him ranked high, but
yeah.
I just think the kid has got a world of upside with that body. He'll surprise you, too. He'll step out and knock shots down.
How about that tenacious defense from Rashid Bello? We talked about that before the game, getting up and getting a block on the three-point shot right there.
Well, Bello blocked that shot from about 5 feet away.
Back the other way for Ignatius. It's Barron. Gets it back out, sets up the offense. Going inside, stopping and popping is A.J. Red. Gets a bucket.
Smooth player. A.J. Red, smooth player. His body is slender, but he's got to add some weight and strength, but he has got a very versatile game on the perimeter.
Well, these guys only really lose Higginbottom from their starting lineup, and their best players are young.
Yeah.
These guys are going to be something to look at next year. We should, we're going to talk about the rise of both programs. Not so much the rise of Ignatius, but they got a chance to really put themselves on the map next year.
Sawyer's shot from the same spot as a couple of possessions ago won't go. He'll go to the line shooting 2, though.
What a coaching tree there's been, especially in the old days when it was Gordon Tech. I mean, back, I think when Thornridge won the state championship, Gordon Tech with Dick Versace coaching had won the Catholic League, and that was a game that was never played for the old-timers. That was a game everybody wanted to see, but at that time, the Catholic was not participating in the state tournament.
Well, and people are tuning in that aren't familiar with it. Gordon Tech, it turned into DePaul Prep,
yep.
And they have mentioned this program on the rise. Since they have turned into DePaul Prep, they have averaged 22 wins a year. So that is unbelievably impressive, considering there were some lulls in Gordon Tech basketball over the years.
St. Ignatius, on the other hand, still trying to take that step from one level to the next. What needs to happen before they can get there?
Well, I think the comparison is somewhat similar in that DePaul Prep kind of skyrocketed with Tom Kleinschmidt taking over the program. Mm-hmm. Ignatius has always been around. They've been solid. They just have not gotten quite over the hump of getting to that next level. Now, that next level, I think, is in the offering for them next year. I think with this group coming back now, Rick mentioned they lose one player. That's a key player when you lose your point guard, but in Parker Higginbottom. But I just think this team is poised. This could be a development, learning year. Yes, they're going to compete and play with some of these great teams like tonight, but I think next year is when they could take that next step.
All right, Coach Matt Monroe, we had a chance to talk to him yesterday. Got the job in 2016, took over for Coach Kehoe, who preceded him here at St. Ignatius. And still waiting to get over the hump a little bit, but it's a good team filled with plenty of junior talent. One of those guys being Richard Barron with the basketball right now.
I'll tell you, for coming off of 10 days or 12 days of COVID, DePaul's really locked in defensively.
Meanwhile, St. Ignatius playing their third game in as many days.
But if there's been one identity with Tom Kleinschmidt's teams, it's that end of the floor. Defensively, you know, and you start with, I keep mentioning Rashid Bello defensively. There's not a ton of difference-making defensive players at the high school level. He's
with the fake. He's got 2 6'9" guys.
And they're different big men, because Matthews is you're a little bit more of a plotter on the block, and a big man who can really impact defensively, take up space, block a shot. Arnett we haven't seen it yet, but he's a better athlete. He can really get up and down the floor for a big. Watch him run the floor is one of the things that impresses you, and he can step out and knock a three down.
Yeah. Kleinschmidt was saying that at the end of practice when they're running sprints, the kid wins every single sprint. I mean, he kind of's got a body that a little bit like you, Joe.
Back to Arnett, though. I mean, he has risen in my rankings and as a prospect, maybe more than anybody in the class.
That's just bowling his way to the basket there.
And one of the things that Kleinschmidt mentioned about Arnett was just trying to develop his consistency. He's been a spurt guy for them so far. He's been a big play kind of guy, but there are stretches of time where he'll go 3 minutes without being a factor, and they're just trying to make sure he can kind of take over that role and continue to dominate a game versus being kind of on and off as it's been so far in his career.
Ignatius has missed some easy shots. They got to make some shots, and they're going to have to make some shots from the perimeter just to ease up this defense that's just been stagnating them. They're dribbling a little too much. Got to cut a little bit more. Everybody out. There we go.
So Ty Johnson bearing the triple. T.Y. Johnson from the top of the key.
If it continues like this, Joe, we're going to have to come up with a lot of stories.
Go through.
We're going to have to come up with a lot of old stories.
Historical basketball talk.
I got a lot of trash on Kleinschmidt. I can go at least 15 minutes talking about Kleinschmidt.
All right, Ignatius, get a little run here.
Monroe's too good a guy to badmouth, but Kleinschmidt, there's a lot of material available. I love the scoreboard. How many
scoreboard.
How many Jim? East Aurora.
East
Aurora's got one like that. But this has been up there forever. They were one of the first schools to have a four-sided scoreboard like that.
No, as a kid, I used to go to East Aurora's gym and see that scoreboard and think it was the coolest thing in the world.
Oh, yeah. Did you ever go to their Christmas tournament as a kid?
Every year.
Oh, yeah.
I went to Ernie.
Ball down low. They fight for it on the floor, and it's Arnett who comes up with it. Sawyer now pushing it the other way. T.Y. Johnson, the trailer. Now he goes to the rack, finishes with the left hand.
That's high level. You got a couple of possessions there where you saw a 23-foot, just rip shot, three-pointer. There's a great take, uses left hand, gets to the rim. That's why he's a special offensive player.
Higginbottom gets a screen, pulls up for a jumper, buries it.
That's what Parker Higginbottom can do. He's got a nice little mid-range pull-up game. He'll show you some three-point range. He is a point guard who can put the ball in the hole.
Under a minute and a half to play here in the first quarter. Bello with the basketball for the Rams.
Face guard T.Y. Johnson, and he still got loose.
Couldn't connect on the shot, though. Over the back foul, that's called on Bello.
Well, now the fouls are 5-1, and they were 5-0. So, Kleinschmidt has been known to get a good whistle, Joe. I don't know if you know that, but his dad is one of, the all-time great refs. I think when we played him, he always had a relative on the game.
Speaking of that,
Kleinschmidt,
East Aurora Holiday Tournament, his dad was the official. That's where I used to see him referee.
I'm sure. One of the best.
I think he's here. Is he in the corner over there?
Oh, yeah.
That was Red losing it inside. Bello coming the other way. Jump stop and draws a foul.
That's a big-time move right there.
Bello's got an extra gear. He's got great quickness. And for a small player, he's got a little length to him. And, again, he's going to Wisconsin Parkside. I was just talking actually to his future head coach on the way to the game today, Luke Riegel. who really recruits the state of Illinois hard. He's got a lot of players out of Illinois up to Wisconsin Parkside.
Well, there's a couple things, and again, talking to Kleinschmidt, there's a couple things as a head coach that resonate when I talk to another head coach. One is, I got a guy that I can put on anybody and I can slow him up. And that's what he says about Bello. And the other thing that is a head coach that makes you able to sleep at night is when you got a point guard that can just control your team. And T.Y. Johnson is that guy. So Tommy's got a special group here.
Especially in that backcourt.
Stop and pop right there from Johnson. Gets it to go. Under a half a minute to play in the first quarter. It's an 18-4 lead for the Rams. Ignatius will slow it down and hold for the last shot. 19 seconds. A.J. Red with the basketball, looks to his bench. 7 on the clock, 6-5, down to 4. Red almost loses the basketball,
look.
finds a
Great
man down
pass.
low. And that will finish the quarter, but a good easy bucket right there for St. Ignatius to send him into the break. That's a good look from A.J. Red. Drew a double team up near half court, able to keep his eyes up and find his teammate.
And a much-needed basket.
Oh, did they need that basket. And I love that they trapped that ball screen out high, but that was a great job from Higginbottom when they didn't get into the ball handler's chest and gave him some vision. He was able to pick that out, make the pass to Red. And
Red took more time than I expected him to take on that possession. Waited for the clock to get all the way down to 5 seconds before he tried to do anything.
Okay, you got to take a look at this. I happened to be coaching the day that they hung that in the banner. My team had to sit and watch a 45-minute presentation on Tom Kleinschmidt. Not that he didn't deserve it. I just didn't particularly like watching it. But the thing, you got to look at this. His banner is bigger than the third place banner, Joe. Do you notice that? I mean,
that's like
I love the banner, but I think third place.
That's a full-fledged tablecloth over there.
I love Tommy. Do we get any old pictures of Tommy? Do we got any old pictures of when Kleinschmidt was playing? I mean, you talk about a guy that did it at the high school level, at a high level, went to a state championship game with Steve Pappas coaching, and then he went to DePaul, and he might have records at DePaul.
Isn't he? Is the second all-time leading scorer?
Look at that young Catholic League guy.
Look at that. Yeah, so he's the first Blue Demon to amass over 1,000 points, 500 rebounds, 300 assists, 100 steals, and 100 three-pointers.
And
that's his record from DePaul right there.
And 22 cases of beer. Hey, also, one of the best 16-inch softball players in Chicago. He's got the big mitts. He played first base, hit the piss out of the ball. He wasn't, he couldn't go first to third on a single. But Tom Kleinschmidt.
And in all seriousness, as we joke a little bit, he really has established himself as one of the elite high school coaches in Illinois.
Just so you know, he's done something to our internet that we can't get back to the game. He found out his picture was, and he just locked us in that we're going to just look at Tom Kleinschmidt's picture for the next hour and 15 minutes.
Here's where your play-by-play really comes into.
Yeah, Higginbottom with the basketball.
Swinging over the left. Here we go. Red with a big circle cut through the middle.
Are you going to let me do my job or what?
Go to work.
Red going inside, kicks it out to Higginbottom, draws a foul on the floor. It'll be St. Ignatius basketball under the basket.
Maybe we should talk more about the picture of Tom Kleinschmidt.
We could break down his body.
Yeah. I like how you can tell he's shooting a free throw there.
Nice tight cut hair.
That got long in his professional days over in Japan. He came back, his hair was down to his shoulders.
Higginbottom once again between the circles. Jackson Kotecki in the game now. He lost the basketball, he turns it over, and it's a 2-on-0. Whoa!
He got a flat tire on the way to the hoop.
Yeah, not sure if you got to look at that right there, but it was a fast break for DePaul Prep, and Bello tried to go up with the basketball. It looked like he either lost it on the way up or just got caught midair, so unable to convert the bucket. Still a 21-6 lead for the Rams. 7 minutes to play in the second quarter.
This DePaul Prep start is kind of like when I heard of those NFL teams this fall when they sit out all week with COVID and not practice and show up and play a great game.
Yeah, those NFL teams. You think they're going to ever have a preseason again? You think they're going to just good back cut, and that's what you got to do when teams are overplaying you on the wing, and it's hard to make an entry pass. You got to dribble at somebody, and you got a back cut. Well done.
Not to mention DePaul Prep playing with only 9 guys. Not all of their team is out of the COVID protocol yet, so if they can stay out of foul trouble, it'll be huge for them down the stretch.
Tommy's fine playing with 5. I think he'd probably like to have 8 on his team all the time.
If it's these 5, he'll take it all day. Johnson crossing over, launching from deep, off the back of the iron. Rebound fought for and collected. Now it's Dignan going down the middle of the lane. Passes back out for his point guard, Higginbottom. Dignan gets it on the low post, now lost it. Back with the Wolfpack. Down the lane goes Davis. Put back from Dignan is good.
I think it was Kotecki that put
Jackson
that back.
Kotecki's really a high upside, 6'7", 6'8" sophomore. He's got a big upside, Rick. I mean, he's got potential. He can stick a little mid-range jumper himself. He moves well for his size. Another promising, again, we talk about this growing year for St. Ignatius. Not to write off this season at all, but next year with these guys, these sophomores and juniors all getting a year older, getting this year in was critical for a team like Ignatius to be able to get this experience.
Okay, when you're evaluating a sophomore big guy, and we talk about big guys developing late, what do you look for? Like, what are the things what's the difference? How do you know if this kid's going to be a Division I player or a Division III player? What are the key elements that you're looking for when you're evaluating?
So much now is so much dictated on speed, quickness, and athleticism. His mobility, as an example here, he's a big kid who can move. He's also a big kid who's not tapped out physically. You can see he's going to grow into that body. He's got a decent amount of skill level that you can build on. With that size, when you combine all those aspects, you scream upside. He's not just I'm speaking specifically of Jackson here. You're not talking about just a big man who's on the block, a space-eating big man. You're talking about a guy who's got a lot of versatility and upside because of that skill level.
Okay, so one of the things I look at, and I'm not a college evaluator, but they got to have good hands. You can't teach good hands. So if a guy fumbles the ball as a sophomore in high school, rarely do I see him really having great hands by senior year.
Well, the other thing is their footwork. You go with the hands as well as the footwork as well, because
that's what you like about the kid from Gordon, right? He's got great feet.
Yeah, exactly. He can really get up and down, especially in the college game, the way it's being played. Big men are used different. You have to have some skill as a big. There's still some true 5 men out there, but the 4-man, the old school 4-man's out the window. You're going to have to be able to stretch the floor as a 4-man, and you're going to be able to have to move your feet because of how they defend and guard and switch.
I also like a big guy that sets screens, and on that possession, Arnett just gave up his body to make his teammate better by setting a great screen.
Ball from the corner is good. Richard Barron, the 6'5" sophomore, knocking it down.
Good-looking shooter, Richard Barron is.
I'll tell you, it looked good coming out of his hands. And I'm sure, again, when we talk about how you evaluate kids, sometimes they don't shoot it well, but you see it coming. Some kids, the ball goes in, it comes out funky. What do you say to that, Joe?
Yeah, it comes out of his hand pretty clean, though. Yeah. He's put some time varsity and sophomore level last year.
How about Arnett cleaning up the glass and getting the putback for the Rams? 4.5 minutes to play in the second quarter.
How big of a box is toughness, Joe, when you're evaluating?
Well, it is the word of choice that's a big 3 there, back to back.
Sure, from Parker Higginbottom.
That is the thing that I get calls on now, more so from college coaches than anything. You know what? I just need a competitive kid.
Okay.
And that being said, I think it's one of the most difficult things to gauge because you're talking about physical toughness and mental toughness.
Right.
What you don't know is when these kids get on as a freshman in college, and they're not the star. They're not playing. They're not starting. They're away from home. But there's the mental toughness.
Yeah.
How are they going to adapt? How are they going to respond? Are they going to pout? Are they going to leave? Are they going to transfer? So that toughness factor is huge for college coaches, especially in today's market where transfers are the norm.
How about that move right there? Can't finish. It's
Okay,
T.Y.
but let's
Johnson.
talk about that a little bit, because I'm going to talk about it from a coach's perspective. So Bryce Hopkins, we're going to see him tomorrow night. Fenwick plays Notre Dame. Great game tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Bryce, I was coaching Bryce when he was a freshman. He didn't play much as a freshman. He didn't pout. His parents didn't pout. And sophomore year, he comes out and turns it on. Everybody's like, well, where was this kid before? Well, he was a good player, but he didn't complain. All he did was work on his game. But I got to tell you, from my perspective as a coach, sometimes, and I think the college coaches are feeling this too, is if kids aren't playing as freshmen in high school now. Freshmen in high school back 10 years ago, there weren't many freshmen.
And by you playing, I mean on the varsity. Because,
Exactly. I'm
yeah,
talking about playing
right.
varsity.
Right. Because you're right. I interrupted you there, but
No, I got
20
you.
years ago, 25 years ago, it wasn't the norm at all for a freshman to be on varsity.
Right. And, I mean, you look at Simeon.
Yeah.
Coach Henrick didn't allow his freshmen. Derrick Rose was probably one of the best players in the state as a freshman and never played varsity.
Hambrick might have won a state title
If he would have let
brought Derrick
yeah.
Rose
But
as a freshman.
So I get it but sometimes it's the parents that are pushing the envelope. You know, the parents are, what level is my kid going to play if he comes to DePaul? You know, where are you going to play him at? And to me, playing time's the king, not what team you're on. And the same with AAU. You know, you can be on a high-level AAU team, but if you're not playing, play on a team. You know, the playing time, and summer, my rub a little bit with AAU is use AAU. Don't let AAU use you, because the summer is where you improve. And if you're going out of town for 10 days, and even if you're playing 12 games, you're not practicing, and there's not a lot of, I mean, those are days where you can be in the gym for a significant amount of time working on your game.
Instead of playing 7 minutes a game.
Yeah. So, yeah, I guess that's my thing. You know, when you talk about mental toughness and stuff, I want a kid that you learn way more from your difficulties, from your losses, from your tough times. And when parents don't allow kids to go through those tough times,
Right.
where do they learn it? You know, where do they learn it?
And that's a little bit of our culture.
Yeah. Well, love it to
in
change.
the basketball culture right now.
And that's the benefit of having a coach like Tom Kleinschmidt. You're going to learn how to be coached. You know, and they talk about an old school player. You know, like old school. Is it old school to like discipline? Is it old school to be tough? I don't think those things ever leave.
And then the player or the coach who caters to that and does a disservice to that kid in the long run, as you're talking about.
I agree. And you talk about why there's so much transferring going on. I think there's multiple reasons why there's so much transferring going on at the college level. But, you know, when you're a freshman, I know my freshman year, I didn't play a lot. Now, I wasn't that good, but I didn't play a lot. But I was happy to be on the team. I wanted to play more as a sophomore year. I wanted to play more. But you carried the luggage, right? You carried the guys' bags off the plane. I think those times are gone. You got to skip the ball against DePaul like they just did. You got to skip it, and then you got to attack that closeout or shoot it in.
What you'd like to see in this game right now with Ignatius is we were talking about on the verge of maybe getting blown out of here. They've crept back into single digits. Now it's important. They got to finish this last 2 minutes off. Maybe chip away a little bit more. Keep it definitely within single digits to keep this thing within reach here going in the second half.
Yeah, especially a young team. You know, and what do you look for? They're trying to clear out the backside there. They almost had it.
A.J. Red had it for the Wolfpack, had it poked away and drew a foul, so that will stay with St. Ignatius on that end of the floor.
Well, DePaul being off for 10 days. You wonder about their win, especially playing, a lot of minutes with 4 guys. Maybe they're going to get a little gas. Maybe Ignatius got a chance to. One thing on an inbounds play that just happened just there, one thing I hate is when you give away your movement by not even looking at the ball. Like if you're a guy and you're looking where you're going to cut to instead of standing straight at the ball square, you give your opponent exactly an idea of where you're going.
It was Barron dialing it up from deep off the back of the iron, and T.Y. Johnson brings it the other way for DePaul. Trayvon Thomas in the game for the Rams, touched the ball a moment ago.
I don't know what to think about Trayvon Thomas. He's from Oak Park. Tommy came in the backyard of Fenwick to get a player.
There you go. Well, he didn't make the 3 right there, and that ball's lost out of bounds going to Ignatius.
Did he not know that Fenwick, did he not know Joe Fenwick was down the street? He's going to take 6 buses to get here? Come on. We're going to have to talk to him after the game. Tommy Molitor spinning the dials from Dot Productions today. He's been here a long day trying to get internet working properly, trying to hook up to the Ethernet, sweating over there.
We love it. Higginbottom with the basketball now. 48 seconds to play till the half. 3 ball from the corner, no good.
They had a couple of possessions here left empty where they really could have cut into that lead.
Bello kicked it out for the 3 ball, wouldn't go. Red passing it up ahead. It's Barron finishing with the left hand off the glass.
Gotta love getting an easy basket against DePaul. You don't get many easy baskets against DePaul.
Well, and right now we're in the situation of, Tuesday night where we felt like Notre Dame had that bigger lead than what the score indicated. You kind of feel that way now. All of a sudden you look up, 6-point game. You really had that feeling that DePaul Prep was ready to roll out of.
5 seconds on the clock. Spin move from Johnson. Down the lane. Reverse layup is good. What a move right there from T.Y. Johnson.
You might have want to run at Johnson on that and run 2 guys
to get
at him.
Ball out of his hands, right? Yep.
That's a big bucket for DePaul, who was in a bit of a scoring drought going into the half, but they get the lead back to 8. We will send it away for a few moments. Nick Magas, Joe Henricksen, and Rick Malnati here for No Fans in the Stands TV. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a little bit with the second half of St. Ignatius and DePaul Prep. So we're back from inside DePaul College Prep. The Rams taking on the Wolfpack from St. Ignatius. 4 minutes and 20 seconds till the start of the second half. It's DePaul Prep holding on to an 8-point lead over the visiting Wolfpack. You are listening to No Fans in the Stands TV. Nick Magas here with Rick Malnati, Joe Henricksen. It's been a fun 2-game run so far. We'll be looking to bring you a couple more Chicagoland high school rivalry games, trying to at least hit one game from every team that will be a part of the Chipotle Clash of Champions at the end of the season.
With a great game tomorrow, the preseason #1 team in the state, Notre Dame, against the Bryce Hopkins, Kentucky-bound led Fenwick Friars.
That's going to be a fun one, no doubt. As always, we remind you to tweet your questions at us at NoFansTV. We'd love to interact with all of our viewers. I know Coach Malnati, Joe have plenty of insight to offer on basketball, player comparisons, whatever the case may be. So let us know. We're happy to answer your questions, especially if this game continues to go the direction it's going into the second half. Like we said, though, before the half, the score doesn't represent how lopsided it's really felt to this point. Back in single digits is the deficit for St. Ignatius, and it's feeling a little closer than it's.
Yeah, the senior Higginbottom made a couple big plays. He hit that mid-range jumper, hit that three, and they played strong defensively. Kind of kept T.Y. Johnson under wraps until the last basket of the half. But Joe, why don't you talk about? I know the city is starting to play. They were behind everybody else by a week. They had a little stiffer COVID protocols. And they got started. I know you talk to those city coaches all the time, and why don't you tell us what to expect here? They got one extra week added on at the end of the season, but what's it looking like?
You know, they had to push it back a week because they had to get all physicals, make sure all the physicals were in the public league, and it's just kind of a little different dynamic in preparation for the season than these other schools. So as a result, the IHSA did award them or gave them another extra week. And, you know, they're starting play this weekend. And, you know, like a Whitney Young will play Mount Carmel, Catholic League, Public League matchup tomorrow. And Whitney Young's first game, Whitney Young and Simeon, two teams that are in the Chipotle Clash of Champions tournament at the end of the year, are clearly far and above everybody in the Public League this year. I mean, you know, usually there's a kind of a group of 4 or 5 teams in that city. It's Young and Simeon this year, and then a collection of teams after that. But you've got Simeon, Boston, Isaiah Moss, the transfer from Oak Park. Or Isaiah Barnes, transfer from Oak Park, who's going to Michigan. Ahmad Bynum, a senior, headed to DePaul. And then, of course, they're just got tons of returning talent beyond that.
Young, good guards.
Yeah, and then, you know, Whitney Young, a transfer of their own. AJ Casey, who I feel, and everybody I would agree, is the #1 junior prospect in the state of Illinois. 6'8", forward, a top 30 player in the country in that class of 2022.
I got a question, Joe. Has there ever been a player ever played at Simeon and at Whitney Young?
Good question.
Has that ever happened? I mean, a lot of times they get transfers into those two schools.
I have to ask Rob and Tyrone that if they've ever shared a kid. But, you know, he went to Tinley Park as a sophomore, and now he's at Whitney Young. But, yeah.
Three schools in 3 years.
Those two are pretty – I mean, you got a couple of superpowers at the traditional, but this year they're among – you know, a group of, I think, 4 or 5 teams that really kind of stand out from everybody else.
Okay, but Whitney Young, you know, there's a lot of guys that are playing for Whitney Young this year that didn't get a ton of time last year. You talk about Casey transferring in, and then they didn't have the summer, and they didn't have the fall, and now they only have a week. So they're going to be a little bit behind.
I just think, Rick, that we don't know what team is where they're at. I just, until you kind of see it. And, you know, tonight's a prime example. I thought DePaul would look a little rustier than they have. It hasn't been a perfectly clean game, but in my view, they have been a little bit more crisp than I thought they would be.
Yeah, they started out really, really good. They've kept the defensive intensity up all game. got a little bit, he started missing a few shots.
So back to the action now. Higginbottom missed a three-pointer from the corner for Ignatius. DePaul off the back of the iron now was Bello. Ball goes out of bounds, heading the other way. It's an 8-point ball game as we get underway here in the second half. T.Y. Johnson.
So what is the city doing, Joe? Are they just playing conference? I mean, I know you said that Whitney Young's playing out of conference. They're playing Mount Carmel, but what is their? I know there's not a city tournament at the end of the year.
There is not a city tournament. The big challenge right now with them is finding games because
everybody else had their schedule
yes,
set.
The schedules have been set. There's a lot of teams that aren't allowed to play, outside of their own conferences. So they've, I actually been trying to help a few of the city coaches try to muster up a few more games. Tyrone Slaughter's like, I'll play 20.
Right.
I just got to try to find them. And,
they can't travel. I mean, everything's got to be within 30 miles, right?
Right.
They're under that same rule.
He's got about 4. They're going to play, the old traditional Red West, Red Central combined. So, the Curie, Bogan, Morgan Park, Simeon all in one league together. And then you've got Whitney Young in the old traditional Red West, Red North. So they're playing 9 league games. And then whatever they can find beyond that, we'll kind of see.
That was Richard Barron connecting on a three-pointer for Ignatius, but Johnson right back the other way with a little floater in the lane. It's 30-23 in favor of the Rams.
Seems like every time DePaul needs a basket, T.Y. Johnson's good for it.
Stop and pop from Higginbottom. Bricked it. Pass up ahead to Johnson, who gets up and throws it down for the Rams.
Those are your guards there. Getting up for the impressive rebound, outletting it to your other guard mate, going up for a dunk.
Hey, do you remember the movie Hoosiers?
No, never heard of it.
Okay, when Gene Hackman comes out and they go to Butler Fieldhouse and they put the tape measure up on the rim and I guarantee if they put that tape measure up on that rim over there, I bet it's 9-8. I've always said to Tommy, Tommy, what's going on? What's going on down there? I think when he brings in 8th graders and he says, go on, we got great bounce in this floor, and they go up and they're able to dunk.
Rick has been fixated on these rims tonight. Earlier talking about the rims.
Shooters rims.
Finally, we get a guy who gets up and throws the ball down on a breakaway, and you're talking about how short the rims are.
And I got to tell you, they are not 10 feet on that stage. I'll bet you a lot of money, Joe.
All right, well, it's A.J. Red at the line for Ignatius. That's the deficit to 7 for the Wolfpack.
And they are face guarding T.Y. Johnson all over the place.
How about Bello, though, getting in the lane with some kickouts, and he has another gear on some of those drives.
Putting it bigger, give him some size, trying to be physical with him is what they're trying to do.
Well, not only do you need strength and size, but you need quickness to be able to cover him because he's got an explosive first step. That's the thing I really liked about him as a young kid, how fast he was. I thought he was really fast, especially in the open court.
Especially in the open court, you're right.
As we said before, DePaul's only played 1 game so far this year, but it was Johnson with 26 points in the opener against St. Joe's. Bello going down the lane now, lost the ball out of bounds.
I've even joked with Tom, just about, hey, let's just get out and run. Let's just get going. Get these guys in transition even more. But no, he's done a great job with kind of, growing with this backcourt. And, we've talked about how tough this year has been.
Yep.
And not that you don't feel bad for everyone, but these teams that are kind of built for this season.
Yep.
And that's this team. That's DePaul Prep this year. DePaul was built to win a state championship this season.
Well, they won't get a chance to win a state championship, but they will get a chance to play the likes of Simeon, Whitney Young, Fenwick, Notre Dame, Mundelein in that season-ending Chipotle Clash of Champions. That's going to be very entertaining.
There you see the ball pressure from T.Y. Johnson, Rasheed Bello, Trappin, Pesky. They are a menace defensively. We can talk about all we want offensively. I don't know if you're going to find a better defensive backcourt.
Well, and then you see the best player on your team diving for a loose ball. You talk about intangibles, you talk about toughness. You got to love that. They're going to blitz this ball screen again.
Higginbottom going down the lane. Kick out to Barron. Barron picks up his dribble. Higginbottom has it again. Surveys the defense. Now driving and crossing over. He picks it up. 4 minutes, 43 seconds to go in the third quarter. Red down the lane. Kick out to Barron from the corner. That's an air ball. Pushing it the other way is Davis.
That's a pretty good look for Ignatius there. And, you know, when you get these looks, as Rick mentioned earlier, whether it's an easy bucket at the rim or a wide open three, you're gonna have to make some of these, because you know you're just hanging around that 8, 9, 10 point range. Make a dent in that deficit.
Yeah, the second half starting off a little bit like the first half.
Mm-hmm.
Paul comes out, making some plays. Ignatius finding it hard to score, and again it goes up to a 9-point lead. It's going to be, can they bring it back down to, 4 or 5 coming in the fourth quarter?
The other thing I've noticed in both the games we've done and the other games that I've gone to is just kind of judging the intensity level. That's the one thing I came away with from Tuesday night, the St. Pat's Notre Dame, and I know it was a big-time rivalry game, but that's kind of what got me going. I talked about it on the No Shot Clock podcast on the following day.
The #1 podcast in Chicago.
But, I just got the feeling like, okay, we're getting back to what high school basketball feels like for at least this year. I know there's no fans, but, that intensity level that night kind of got my juices going a little bit.
Okay, I gotta tell you, I agree that, a well-played game without fans is not the same as a well-played game with fans.
Right.
Like, fans add so much to the atmosphere of a game.
And to the players.
Oh, for sure.
It is tough. It's been interesting to watch even some of these college games. Some of them have fans and some of them don't, but nobody has a full arena. I just think, it's getting used to at all levels. But, what I saw that Tuesday night in that game, in that fourth quarter, Notre Dame, St. Pat's kind of, going back and forth. That was some fun basketball. Hopefully we get a little bit of that here in this second half.
Johnson pulling up from the elbow. That's no good.
I think he might have got fouled on that.
Yeah, he definitely wanted it. A.J. Red coming the other way.
It's hard to dribble penetrate against DePaul.
Yeah, they just have so much quickness and length.
And they play hard.
That's true.
One thing being quick and having length with not playing hard.
And with some discipline as well.
Yeah.
And for a team that's only played one game so far this year, took some time off of practice, the stamina looks like they're holding up just fine. They look like a team in mid-season form right now. There's a miss from Geel, but the putback from Red is good.
There you see, another big man contesting a shot, making it difficult at the rim for Ignatius, even though they did get the follow-up putback. That's second chance opportunity there.
Wolfpack hanging around with 3:45 to play in the third quarter. It's a 7-point lead for DePaul. Johnson crossing over, slicing down the middle, finishes with the right hand.
Ignatius has not stood in to take one charge. The charge is a huge weapon on defense for a team. If you're not going to take charges,
well, they're late on the help, too. They're face guarding, but they're also very late on any help when TY is getting by.
Especially for a guy as aggressive going to the rim as Johnson is.
Yeah, you got to put doubt in his mind by standing in there and taking a charge.
Good move
Red
there.
sliding
Didn't
inside.
finish.
That won't go.
Wow.
Oh, how about that right there?
Wow.
T.Y. Johnson with the Euro step and a big-time finish extends the lead to 11 for the Rams.
Well, a
That's
lot
hard
of times,
to defend right there. Not much you can do about that.
A lot of times at the end of the game, you look on the stat sheet, not that it's there, but fast break baskets, but easy baskets. What team had the most easy baskets? And that was a practice jumper right there.
Yeah, William Horick keeping the Wolfpack alive. Still an 8-point ball game inside 2.5 minutes to play in the third.
Big basket by Horrick.
Yeah, because each time we feel like, okay, starting to creep out, sneak away, and they convert in a huge 3 there.
Horrick, a guy who comes off the bench for the Wolfpack. Coach Monroe said he likes to do the little things. There's a foul on the floor right there, that one on Gio.
A little ticky-tack.
Ticky-tack, I agree. Ticky-tack. Catholic League, let him play.
I first thought he was going to get him with a carry. I thought maybe.
1 6'9" guy goes out and another 6'9" guy comes in. Not bad.
Lob inside. It's Matthews with the short jumper. That goes down.
That was contested, too. That was a good-looking shot.
Yeah, you bring a big man off the bench that's going to UMass, that's a luxury.
Once again, Ignatius trying to go to the rim and just nowhere to go. That time it was Matthews moving his feet pretty well. Johnson pulling up, shot off the back of the rim. Matthews cleaning up the glass and gets the finish.
And his mask came off. Is there a foul for knocking a guy's mask off? Is that like a 2-shot foul?
Read the kick out. Barron from the corner. That
Barron
goes.
loves that left corner.
Yes, he does. Been camping out there all day.
And
The
again,
dribble penetration and kickouts for the Wolfpack have been working well.
they inch out to that 12-point lead. They need the 3. They knock it down. But they really do have to start making this push. They're just hanging around right now.
They're getting the must-have baskets, but anytime they try and make a run,
That's a
Johnson
foul
gets
over the
inside and
back.
cuts it down. Bello now dialing it up from
Boom.
deep. That was pure.
That's where you hit threes, Joe. You get an offensive rebound, you kick it out, either on the fast break or on offensive rebounds. Best place to get 3-point shots, and they're going to get an easy layup here.
There's a 2-on-1. The lob to Bello, gets up the ladder and throws it down.
9'9" hoop, Joe. 9'9" hoop, Nick.
5'11" guard.
Well, 25 seconds to go in this quarter. They're going to go for one. They're going to come out and set a high ball screen, and they're going to blitz it. DePaul's going to blitz it. Are they going to be able to play through the double team like they did at the end of the half?
Higginbottom now
They're going 4
between the
flat.
circles.
Oh, no, here they come.
6 on the clock.
He's going to blitz this.
To the corner. Shot fake right there. Up with it is Davis. No good. That will send us to the fourth quarter of action. A 47-33 lead. DePaul over the visiting St. Ignatius Wolfpack. You're listening to No Fans in the Stands TV. We will send it out for a moment and be back with the fourth quarter of action. Don't go anywhere.
Okay, Nick Magas, Joe Henricksen, Rick Malnati, back.
Doing it one more time. It's Rams basketball to start the fourth quarter and a 14-point lead for DePaul.
And this could get away from Ignatius quick.
Yeah,
That's exactly what you wanted. You get a chance to tell your stories now.
Oh,
they
yeah,
are in a scary spot right now.
Yeah.
DePaul's feeling it, and
They just-
Ignatius is just kind of hanging on by a thread with a 3 here, a 3 there, but
Not a great possession for the Wolfpack to end the half. Didn't really get a quality shot up.
just the overall firepower, though, that DePaul has is, you know, you got that blend of that back. We just keep going back and forth, talking about their big men, and then talking about that terrific backcourt.
And constant pressure on the ball. They put great ball pressure on. That just wears on you if you don't have a real experienced backcourt.
Johnson down the lane. That won't go. Matthews couldn't come up with it on the follow. Out of bounds going to St. Ignatius.
Tom Kleinsmith getting Alex Gutierrez in the ball game. A junior with some good outside perimeter shooting. He could be a key for them in terms of so much attention being paid to Rasheed Bello and T.Y. Johnson. Gutierrez can get some nice open looks and be a kind of space the floor guy for DePaul.
Now, a little random here, Joe, but, you know, I looked through the roster of Ignatius, and I saw that they had no number 52. And there's a guy named Peter Thompson that I know of, alumnus of St. Ignatius. The guy's got the biggest Rolodex of anybody I know. You need something, you call Peter Thompson, he's going to know somebody. And he told me his number was retired. And I said, there's no, I mean, I've seen the guy golf. There's no way he's got any kind of basketball game. And the body is for a bowler, not for a basketball player. But it might be retired. I don't see a number 52. But, you know, growing up, there used to be those numbers. 52 was like.
Who wants to wear 52 now?
I don't know if that means anything. There's also no number 3.
What number was Nana Eglu?
I mean, 52. You know, you give like the fat, slow guy 52, don't you? You know, back in high school? I think that's where he was fitting in back then. And just in case he's listening, I don't believe his number was retired.
Couple attempts right there at the rim from DePaul.
If it was, it wouldn't be as big as Tom Kleinsmith's up in the rafters.
No. Kleinschmidt made that. I think they used their whole budget that year. They didn't get new uniforms for a couple of years so they could put that banner up there. You go to his house at Thanksgiving, and that's a tablecloth.
He's got 6 replicas.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I go out in the lobby, big Tom Kleinschmidt pictures all over the place.
He's actually a pretty humble guy.
For as good as he was.
Yeah.
Pretty good defense there. This will be a back breaker if that went
Sawyer
in.
from the corner won't go. Matthews down with yet another rebound.
Matthews getting every rebound.
He's cleaning up the glass really nicely and giving DePaul all kinds of second chances. Now it's Johnson and Bello setting it up again. Bello the kick out to Sawyer one more time. Can't connect right there. Rebound come down with, it's Lewis.
When you're down 14 points.
And he got happy feet on the far wing.
When you're down 14 points, you better start getting some defensive rebounds on misses. You cannot afford to let them get 3 possessions down 14 in the fourth quarter. They need a basket bad, or we're going to be telling more stories like the Peter Thompson story.
Higginbottom from way downtown. That's good.
Nothing
go,
but
Rick.
bottom. Nothing but bottom for Higginbottom. He's got to take a charge there. You got to take a charge there.
Yeah, wow. That's
Stand
Johnson going to the
in.
rim again, drawing another foul.
Okay, I got another one for you, Joe. Why are the cheerleaders' uniforms blue?
My only answer to that was they're just like leftover hand-me-downs from the DePaul Blue Demons.
I mean, is DePaul's colors blue? I thought they were orange. Didn't they used to have the candy cane orange pants all the time? Wasn't that a tradition, like an Indiana kind of tradition, those candy striper pants?
Are they not wearing the same color scheme as the guys on the floor?
Maybe they are. I never
Blue and
knew.
white.
I never knew DePaul was blue. I thought they were orange. The Gordon Tech orange. Is that gone? The
Four-year
alumni.
varsity player Johnson makes both his free throws. It's a 13-point lead now for DePaul. 5.5 minutes to play in the fourth quarter.
what
That
a
one's just taken
steal.
out of the air by Bello. The second time he's done that today. The follow from Matthews gets it back inside. Now Bello with a chance to get it to the corner. They will set it up once again. Bello's defense is just otherworldly in this game. I still can't get over that block he had in the far corner.
Yeah, he
in
was
the first
5
possession
feet
of the
away.
game. He took that ball out of the air at 5 feet after it came out of the hand of the offensive player. Working our way down to 5 minutes in the fourth.
Better not guard him that close. He's going to go right by you.
Lucky you found Sawyer right there.
They're just spreading the floor and trying to take people off the dribble one-on-one.
And Coach Kleinschmidt gets a timeout.
You know, I remember Coach Kleinschmidt, Tom Kleinschmidt, the player, back in 1990 in Champaign.
Who was the coach?
I brought this up the other night at the Rolling Meadows game. Rolling Meadows played Gordon Tech in a state quarterfinal game.
Wow.
You remember the star for Rolling Meadows by chance, Rick?
I can't believe Rolling Meadows went downstate.
Oh, you don't remember this name? Mike Lipniski.
Oh, if there was a 3-point line back then, he would have averaged 70.
So Lipniski comes out of nowhere his senior year, averages,
He went to DePaul, didn't he?
32, Northern
Illinois? Okay.
Late blooming guy, came out of nowhere, averaged 32 a game as a senior. He lights up Kleinschmidt for 42 or 43.
Wait, Tommy guarded him?
I don't know. But
I like it. Let me tell
Let's
you.
go with the story.
Let's go with it. I think Tommy, back then they didn't switch, and Tommy had him the whole game.
Kleinschmidt had 26, 27.
That's minus 15. That's a minus 15. And he's got a banner up with his name in the gym.
Antoine Gillespie was a guard there at 20-some.
Oh, good. Gillespie was
good. The point of the story is one of the greatest high school games in Peoria that no one talks about. The
Peoria was
Champaign. Assembly Hall. I was there, went down there, watched it, and Lipniski was 43. Lipniski made 76 straight free throws.
I remember the kid. Now,
70-some.
I got to ask you a question. When you went down to Champaign, did you go with your dad?
Yes. Well, that was my senior year in high school, 1990.
Okay. Did you go every year?
Every year.
Father-son trip?
Correct.
Okay, so
starting with Quincy in 1981.
I gotcha. So
82.
I did the same thing with my son. I'd pick him up from school on Thursday afternoon. We'd go down there, go to Avani's, get a pizza in Peoria, because it was in Peoria.
Well, it
wasn't Champaign. But I did the father-son thing every year with my son. What happened to that tradition?
Oh.
I mean, there was...
You mentioned your story. My dad picked me up from school after Thursday. We went to Champaign at a place called the Jolly Roger, a pizza place in Champaign, Thursday night, and then get out of school on Friday as a 10-year-old kid.
Oh, the best.
Oh, my gosh.
When I was little, I'd watch those games on Friday, those games that would go all day. I'd miss school.
Yes.
I wouldn't go to school so I could watch those games.
It was a holiday.
Dave Corzine with the big fro from Hersey. Got to take a charge,
cut you off
Joe.
for a minute.
You got to take a charge.
That's still an unbelievable finish, though.
You got to take a charge. You can't let him go to the basket.
Give the kid some credit. Higginbottom gets stuffed. That's out of bounds.
Get that out of here.
You're not getting that shot over.
We needed the Kembe Mutombo finger wave. Okay, but let's just go back to the father-son thing, because there's nothing better. Father-son state tournament, even father-son. Now you can't come to games, but father-son taking them to a high school game. Where has that went? Because you couldn't get a ticket in Champaign.
It has to be all of the
we got to market it.
Other options that kids have.
I don't know. There's a lot of options. Fathers, you got to take your kids to ball games. Those are memories.
They're some of my best memories. I still contend in all my years of watching high school basketball, my favorite was the 1980s.
Your favorites.
I just love the 1980s. You know why? They were like folk heroes. They were like you never ever saw LaFonso Ellis. You just heard about him.
Exactly.
He wasn't on the internet.
I got a good story.
You didn't see highlights. You didn't get to see him live, and then you're just waiting. And I remember as a kid, I hope LaFonso Ellis is playing in Champaign so I can see him.
Well, you talk about that. So I'm playing in college at Bradley. It's 78, 79, 80. We're playing my first year, Indiana State, Larry Bird, and there's no film. There's just the scouting report.
What Bird put on you?
I thought Bird was going to be a black guy for whatever reason. And all of a sudden, this milky white guy comes out, 6'9". I sat on the bench. He shot from the hash mark. He didn't even tie his shoes all the way up. I mean, Carl Nix. I had to guard Carl Nix. He put his elbow in my face 6 times and shot in my face 6 times. So, yeah, you didn't know. You just had legends. And speaking of legends, tomorrow night, you're watching 17 games. You're all over the place, you know.
3 games.
So we miss you tomorrow night, but we
have
replace you.
A less athletic guy replacing.
We replace you with Ronnie Fields tomorrow night. So we'll get Ronnie Fields' take on what it was like to be Ronnie Fields.
Oh, and what it was like to watch Ronnie Fields, which I would love to talk. Because do you remember?
He was unbelievable.
The show he put on at the Proviso West Holiday Tournament.
Oh, we played him.
That
was
place.
He jumped over the kid from Loyola and dunked on him. The biggest crowd ever, I got to tell you, I know this because we played, was New Trier against Farragut. And then a couple years later, it was New Trier against Corey Maggette and Fenwick. Those were the, and that. How could you fill it up more than you talk about father-son events there? That was another father-son event, taking your kids to Proviso West.
Yep.
What a great Christmas I hope that tournament gets back. Okay, what are you going to do here? What was the spread, Joe?
Well, here's your shot clock.
What was the spread? Was it 15?
Rick doesn't want one.
I want a shot clock now.
There's the lob to Matthews, who gets up and throws it down.
Okay.
I didn't put
9'9" rim. I could be dunking on that rim. If Ronnie Fields was here, he'd be jumping over the backboard. So we replace you, Joe, with Ronnie Fields. If I miss a game, I wonder who they're going to replace me with.
We're going to go get Kevin Garnett.
Is it up to me?
Yeah, it's up to you.
Okay.
We got the young Bob Costas with us, the young Greek, doing the play-by-play.
What play-by-play?
Well, we're telling stories. It's a 19-point game.
You're absolutely right.
We've taken over hostage of the
That's
fourth quarter.
This is exactly how it's supposed to be.
This is not a normal broadcast.
He's getting his fill of high school basketball
history. Give the people what they
want
to hear.
Give them what they want
Once
to
again,
hear.
we ask you at NoFansTV on Twitter. Tweet us your questions.
And also, Lou Malnati's Pizza, a proud sponsor.
And
No
Dot
Fans.
Productions. We need to
Dot
shout
Productions.
We need
with
to shout out
Mauder.
Tommy at least once today.
Live stream your wedding or your funeral, whatever you got going. Tommy will be there live streaming.
He said he doesn't do funerals.
Well, people can't go. We got a live stream. I want to see what's going on.
Minute 40 to play. DePaul just holding onto the basketball, milking the clock with a 17-point lead.
This is where you put, if you had more than 8 guys, you'd put your 8th, 9th, and 10th guy in. That was a pretty good handle right there, Joe. Okay, we got to do some previews. What do we got going this week? Tomorrow night we got Fenwick against Notre Dame. Who do you like in that one, Joe?
I think Notre Dame is getting closer and closer to piecing it together. I just think they're, I think Fenwick is going to have to, I think they got to rely so much on Bryce. The one thing I have liked about Fenwick in comparison to a year ago, I do think they're defending a little bit better than a year ago. I just think there's a few too many weapons. Notre Dame, I know they're not clicking on all cylinders yet, but I think they're getting close.
And there are 2 teams that are going to be in that final Chipotle Clash of Champions tournament.
Did you say 58-50 in your?
I believe so. I guess we'll make the spread 7.5.
50. I'm with 8 points. I got to take Fenwick. I got
taking
to take
Fenwick?
Fenwick plus the 8, Joe, for a pizza.
All right.
I could pay off a pizza, Joe.
It's 7.5. 7.5.
7.5?
Yeah.
I hate the hook. I hate the hook, Joe. I like an even 8. I'll buy you on the push, too, Joe. You can win the push. Okay.
55 seconds to play, and this one is all but over from
You can
DePaul Prep.
take
It's been
the
fun.
L out of lover, because this one is over.
I've yet to hear that one.
Didn't know where he was going.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, really.
I've heard that a lot on the golf course. On the 12th hole, my partner telling me you can take the L out of lover, it's over, and I have to believe him. Golf game wasn't great this year, Joe. I wouldn't have retired of coaching if I knew I was going to be such a bad golfer. I thought I had something to look forward to. Are you a golfer, Joe?
I am not a golfer.
Oh, I know Nick's a golfer.
Yeah, a little bit.
Tommy's spinning the dials. He didn't beat me this summer, I'll tell you that. He hits it a long way, but it's never straight.
We have, I believe, on the schedule, DePaul and Fenwick, correct?
We do have DePaul and Fenwick. We also have Glenbrook South, Evanston in one of the coolest stories, and I think you picked up on this, Joe, that the Central Suburban League, instead of Evanston being in that clash of champions at the end, they're going to put in whoever wins that conference. So I know tomorrow night New Trier plays Glenbrook South in a big game. And then when Evanston's going to play Glenbrook South, we're going to have one of those games. And that could go down
next Saturday.
Next Saturday
so
night.
That could be the deciding factor of who gets to play.
That would be
tournament.
Awesome. That would be awesome.
Did we confirm maybe a Simeon game?
Well, we got the public league is only allowing, from what I understand, Joe, one person from the press and one photographer. So we got to get the okay, maybe from Dave Rosengard, the new champion of the public league. He'll do a great job with sports there for sure.
Well, DePaul is going to get a little bit of a revenge from the little sting of last year.
It definitely stung for them last year. For these two teams, though, it was the end of both of their seasons.
Okay, MVP today, Joe. Who was the MVP?
Oh, come on.
T.Y. Johnson?
T.Y. Johnson, the future Loyola Rambler.
The future Rambler.
Really kind of setting the tone early. And, I just think this team, if this is what we see coming out of the gate with few practices, how good are they going to be 3-4 weeks from now?
I like the team. I like the coach. I like 4 guards playing a lot. He never went with 2 big guys like he said he was going to try and do. Maybe that comes in at the end of the year. But I like the way Tommy's got him playing. And Matt Monroe's got an unbelievable group of young players.
Mm-hmm. Again, like I kept saying earlier, not that this season, it's going to be hard pressed for them to beat a team like DePaul this year. But a year from right now, I just really like the potential in this team.
So the final from Tom Kleinschmidt Arena with banners and pictures and posters and autographs everywhere. We're going to leave you with a score of 59-38. So
38.
For Nick, the young Bob Costas, we got Joe Henricksen, the guru of high school basketball, and the guy that can't make pizzas or coach anymore, Rick Malnati. We are signing off. Thanks to our guys on the cameras. We had a couple guys working from DePaul, and we got our friend Tom Molitor spinning the dials. So we'll see you tomorrow night, 6 o'clock at Fenwick High School.